Like being single sucks.
Because a person doesn't make you happy.
Preparing for the promise that I don't see.
No good thing will he withhold from them who walk uprightly. Good evening, everyone. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
Hey, family.
Happy to have you back here again. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, in the comments, I told you, but it's Mary Wizerr Thursday, Tuesday. Sorry. We do first Tuesday is Live Wizerr, second Tuesday is Love Wizerr, third Tuesday is Mary Wizerr, and fourth Tuesday is just kind of a bonus. And in fact, we don't necessarily have a topic for next Tuesday. So if you would throw your suggestions in the comments, we will give that some consideration. We would love to hear from you and to talk about things that matter to you. Well, good evening. My name is Lorraine Edwards. I'm the co-founder of A Single Mission, a business ministry that exists to engage, encourage, and empower single women to embrace their singleness, walk in their purpose, and prepare for the partner they desire. And we have a wonderful show tonight. We also have a huge announcement at the end, so you cannot leave. If you want to get the inside track, you got to stay till the end. All right. Of course, as usual, we have here with us Ebony joining us for the Mary Wizerr part.
Hey.
How you doing, Ebony?
I am doing well today.
Good. Glad to hear that. Well, we are on episode 10. Can you all believe we are on episode 10? This is awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
And speaking of that, we are going to go on hiatus. On April 11th will be our final episode for this season. We will take a short break and then we will resume in the summer. Don't know the exact date yet. So we will go to episode 13. So this is 10. So we have 3 more after today. And then we will take a hiatus and we'll come back probably after Mother's Day. And I'll explain that. And so we didn't want to just stop abruptly and you all like, where is she? But where are they? But we are thankful that you are here, and we're thankful that you have kept up with us for the last 10 episodes. This is super exciting. We're in double digits now. And I just got notice that we have had over 100 hours of watch time on
Wow.
Mission's YouTube channel. I didn't see the email before, but I was just in YouTube looking at something and there was this like, congratulations, 108. You have all these milestones. So we got 100, but we're actually at 108 hours of watch time. So that is crazy. 768 views. And you've been a part of that. And so we thank you. Remember, we're trying to reach 10,000 women this year. And so you are part of sharing, liking, commenting. Please comment. That helps the algorithm. Well, tonight we are talking red light, green light. If you were a kid back in the day, they don't do that. I don't think they do that anymore, Ebony.
No.
But back in the day, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. When it was red, what did you do?
You stopped.
And when it was green, what did you do?
You go.
So we're going to talk about that as it relates to relationships. But we have to do a pulse check.
Checking in with y'all. So how often do you use your gut feelings to make decisions in or about relationships? How often do you trust your gut? Or how often do you ignore your gut?
That's a good one.
Tell us what y'all are thinking.
Yeah, jump in the chat. While you're doing that, we are going to get into this. So we know that we always are talking about red flags. Red flags, look out for the red flags in relationships. Now, the problem is a lot of people don't. And there are some obvious ones that are what I call universal red flags: abusive, dishonest. What are some other ones, Ebony? Disrespectful.
Disrespectful, unmotivated, like don't want to work.
Don't want to work. Don't want
Yeah,
to work.
yeah.
We don't like that. Lazy, trifling.
No, I won't say lazy, but yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some things that we know that are, someone who's unfaithful. We know these are universal red flags, but there are some other things that we want to talk about today that are not so common. You'd be like, if you just heard us say, oh, this person is XYZ, then you would be like, oh, that's cool. That's a good person. But we want to show you both sides of it tonight. So we are going to start with this one.
Nice.
He is nice. Have you all heard that or said that about someone? Oh, he's so nice. And it sounds so nice. But here's my problem with nice. I really don't like the word nice. It's really a nothing word. It says nothing about who the person is. And the problem with nice, the nice covers up can cover up a whole lot, a multitude of sins, if you will, if you want to get biblical on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone is nice because this thing doesn't matter to them, or they're nice because they want the people outside, like if you're with your friends or whatever and family, they want that person to like them, and there's no reason for them not to be nice. There's no conflict. They have no disagreement with what's happening, so they can be nice. But the problem with nice is that behind closed doors, they are not intentionally kind. They are not intentionally considerate. These are things that you would say about someone. Oh, they're very thoughtful, or they're very this. That is very intentional. Nice is just kind of innocuous. And behind closed doors, they're often can be very resistant. They can be very confrontational because now it's something that matters to them. And it's hard to sometimes even negotiate or compromise with someone who is just nice, because they're also very they don't deal with conflict well. So they just shut down, and it's like, it's my way or the highway.
Or they're passive aggressive.
Exactly. However, that's the red light. Ebony, what's the green light?
So you touched on some of it. What nice looks like in action on the good side, the green side, is a person who is purposeful in their communication, purposeful in how they treat you, purposeful in how they show up in your space. A person who is intentional. So nice is flat. Intentionality is an action. It takes thought. It takes consideration. And so a person who's compassionate, they are wanting to move beyond that space of just showing up as someone who is not unkind. They want to show up as someone who is truly compassionate and cares about who you are. They care about your well-being. And so that those are the words that I would say that would replace nice. Those would be the green lights. That if a person is showing up nice, quote unquote, and intentional and purposeful and compassionate, those action words, then we can move forward with nice.
So let me ask you, Ebony, when nice is covering up something negative, how would that show up in marriage? How would it impact your marriage, a person's marriage?
Yeah, I would say that it's really difficult to get anything done if a person is if they're only showing up as being nice, because either they are conflict averse, and so it's just going to be, whatever you want, dear, however you want to do it is fine. They have an opinion. they have a way that they want to see things done.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to speak to that because they don't want to be seen as something negative.
Mm.
Or that passive aggressive where, well, I mean, you can do it that way if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have an opinion, but
Mm-hmm. But
knowing very well that if you do the thing the way that you want to do it, even though they've told you that's what you can do, it's going to be a problem.
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
either that nice is going to show. There used to be a song back in the day. I hope y'all don't even know the song, but I'm going to say it anyway. There used to be a song called Nicety. And so that person is going to show up nice, quote unquote, but they're going to give you the cold shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're going to not engage with you in a way that is productive. And then when you're married, how are you going to move forward in your life and move forward in your relationship if the person that you are committed to spending the rest of your life with is just nice and flat all the time?
Mm. Oh, I love that. All right, what's the next one? I'm gonna let you take this one, Ebony.
Presence. We're gonna start with the green lights on this one.
All right, go for it. Go for it.
So what presence looks like for me, I am big on holding space, right? And so sometimes you need that person that you love, that person that you depend on, that person who is your other half to just hold space for you. So
Mm-hmm.
that could look like they are literally beside you, not saying a word, but just being there for you with their actual physical being.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like being engaged. Like if I'm asking you to be with me and to be there for me, then you are actually asking me, how can I support you in this moment?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And being very again, that word intentional. I lean on that tremendously. That word, that action of being intentional, right? Offering me your assistance. So you're present, you're there, your presence is there. And sometimes I need you to not just be there. Sometimes I need you to help me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to just sit like a bump on a log all the time. Sometimes I need you to offer that assistance and to move forward with it. So it's the support. It's the quality time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know that a part of the red flag that we're going to talk about is that quantity versus quality. But when you are present, your presence is being intentional about the quality of the time that we're spending together.
Mm-hmm. And that sounds beautiful. And you're like, oh, he spends a lot of time with me. Okay. Well, is he engaged when he's with you? Or is he doing this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Is he on this? But he's in the room. His presence, his physical presence is there, but his mind is here and everywhere else. He's thinking about all other kinds of stuff. Not that other things aren't important, but you can't claim to be present if your mind is somewhere else, because that doesn't give any value to our relationship. It doesn't add anything.
You're still alone.
You're absolutely still alone.
You're
And
still
there's
alone.
a lot of married people who are like, I've never been more lonely.
Yes.
And that person is around physically. Yep. And you miss time, you miss the benefit of bonding with your spouse and your children, and they miss the benefit of bonding with you. Because if you're just present in the space, but you're not talking or laughing or listening or playing with or engaging with, then you miss all of that. And the whole point, well, let me back up. The whole point of marriage isn't that, but that's a really critical point. Why would you even choose to marry someone if you wanted to be engaged in everything else all the time? You could just date someone and just see them when you want to and not. When you commit to marriage, that's saying, I really want my life to be intertwined with your life.
Yeah.
Yes, we both have to work and other things, but presence, when it's fake or not real, or it's the negative red light, it's when someone shows up but they don't show up for you. They just show up to play. They just show up to claim they were there.
Wow. They show up but they don't show up for you, man.
Yep.
Wow.
And how does that
That's a
play
level
out
of
in
hurt
marriage?
that
Go
you know
ahead.
this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That thing resonated with me.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Because
I'm gonna hold space for you to go there.
yes, yeah, because that is a level of hurt and rejection that can be very difficult to come back from.
Wow.
When you know full well that the person that you have aligned yourself with, that you have said, this is my person, and then you see that person showing they're engaged with their friends, they're engaged with their family, they're engaged with their phone. But when you ask for that space and you ask for that intention, and then you don't get it, whoa.
All right now. All right, people. When you're evaluating those men that you're dating, and if there are men on here and you're evaluating that woman, is she just present, or is her presence felt and known? Is she showing up for you, or is she just showing up? Is he showing up for you, or is he just showing up? All right. They are an intellectual. Now I'm gonna start with the red light on this one, because I just had this presentation that I did, or this course that I'm teaching. This is actually kind of one of the things, and we didn't talk about this before we got together to prepare, but basically this is a know-it-all. This is someone who, it don't matter what the situation is or where you are, they have an opinion, they have a comment, they have to debate everything. They overstimulate you intellectually. It's like you want someone who you can have conversation and growth and all that. But when everything's deep, that means nothing's deep. You know what I'm saying? And so when you have people like this, it's very exhausting, because you can't just chill. You can't just go to dinner and chill. Now we got to talk about the food, and we got to talk about the service, and we got to talk about, should we be tipping, and we got to talk. No, I just want to eat. Right. I just want to eat and talk. We don't need to do none of that.
Yes. We can laugh about a few things. We can talk about, comic strips or something that's light.
Exactly.
But when everything has to be a deep dive.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of times that's really just covering up their own insecurity.
Yes.
And the other part is when everything is deep and you're talking about growth and authenticity and transparency, and actually ain't none of that fruit showing up in your life. Okay, so you being an intellectual is really just about this, but it's really not about action. And this is a red flag.
100%. Because the other part of that is, and I apologize if this is going to sound like a generalization, but the person who shows up as that intellectual oftentimes is the person who will gaslight you.
Oh, you better come on with it now.
Okay. Because that's the person who's going to try to twist your feelings up in that intellect, using a bunch of big words and extensive conversation to make you feel like what you're feeling is not valid.
That is true. Yes. And this is the kind of person who really is resistant to learning from other people. Yes. They're so busy talking and thinking that they can always pour into everybody else that they don't actually take on they don't learn. They don't listen long enough to even learn. They think they own the box of smartness, and everybody else is just there to learn from them because they're so professorial. But that's the red flag. That's the red light. Stop.
Yes.
Is there a green light to this?
There is a green light. There is definitely a green light. And I'm going to brag for a minute, because my husband is an intellectual, and I love that about him. That intellectual person is going to stimulate your mind, right? And so that intellectual is going to be a conversationalist. So we talked about that person who overtakes the conversation. That a true intellectual, in the green light sense, is going to be that person who can engage with just about anybody. They can draw people into a conversation. They can sit and listen they are agile in their conversations because they can switch between topics easily. They can talk about something that is a deep dive and meaningful, but they can also talk about the fact that, they saw this TikTok about somebody making, chili out of chips. You know what I'm saying? Something that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it's still a conversation. They
Right.
can meet people where they are in conversations, and you just enjoy talking with them, not
Right.
talking to them, not being talked to by them, but talking with them.
Right.
And
Right.
and it's a balance, and they appreciate you. They appreciate you for what you bring to the conversation. They appreciate you for what you bring to the table. They
Mhm.
appreciate the fact that, yes, they might be smart and they might know a lot of kind of random stuff even, but they also appreciate the fact and acknowledge the fact that they don't know everything.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's a true intellectual, because that person who is hungry for learning, that lifelong learning, they're
Right.
open to learning from other people and
Mhm.
openly admit that.
Yes.
And that's when that intellect is stimulating. And I love that about my husband.
Yeah. And they can talk to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes.
People that might they can learn from children, and they can learn from the 90-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
because they are that engaged, and they are that intentional
Mm-hmm.
again
Mm-hmm.
about growing, because nobody owns the box of smartness. And that means, and our intelligence doesn't often come from books, it comes from our experiences.
Right.
And since we don't have the same experiences, that means that I can learn from anybody, because
Mm-hmm.
their experience is totally different from mine.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, when you are married to someone, attraction is important, and sex is
Mm-hmm.
important, and
Mm-hmm.
all these other, but like at the end of the day, conversation is what's going to make that thing last.
Yes.
Attraction is not going to sustain a marriage happily for 40 or 50 years. It should be a part of it, of course, but that's not going to sustain you if you're just attracted. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't have a conversation like
Mm-hmm.
regularly, like
Mm-hmm.
so many couples are just there's not unfaithfulness, there's not dishonesty, there's financial stability. They just bored.
Yep.
They just straight up bored because they don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
And until you learn, you grow. I mean, someone has to stimulate that. Like, go read a book, go learn, go
Mm-hmm.
share, whatever. If you can't start doing that and developing that, like, I can't even imagine 40 years with somebody and you just be like, okay, well, the children are grown and the garbage
Mm-hmm.
is taken out, so now we
Yeah.
don't got nothing else to take,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And that's something, the ability to have a conversation with ease, because
mhm.
that's the other thing. You can talk about things, but as your relationship grows, then the ease in which you should be able to converse with each other, it that should grow as well.
Mhm.
So
Right.
if you are, you're a year into dating someone and you still talking about the weather, I mean, huh?
Right.
We ain't nothing else we're gonna talk about.
There is
Cause
weather every day, but that doesn't mean we need to talk about it every day.
right, exactly. I mean, it's
You just
just you
exist
want
in
to
it.
be able to, conversations should be nuanced and they should be exciting and they should be engaging, not like, deep diving all the time like we
Right.
talked about earlier, but you should be growing in that. And that's something that manifests itself while you're dating.
Yes. It
You can
totally
tell whether or not
does.
you are going to be able to talk to this person easily
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be stimulated by that. You
Right.
know that when you're dating.
Yes. I mean, not only do you know it when you're dating, I kind of know it after like date 2.
Hmm.
Because if I got exhausted in date 1, just
Hmm.
trying to like generate, then we got an issue.
Yes.
And I just think that marriage, and I mean even friendship, is like, it's an ongoing conversation. We have our text threads. Hey
Sorry,
Noah.
y'all. My son is visiting. Stand by.
Hi Noah. We have an ongoing like text flow or whatever. It's not like we say, oh, hi, this is Lorraine. What are you all do? we start every text as if we just talked to each other, even if it was a week ago. And that's really a lot like marriage. It's an ongoing conversation. There's no preamble every single time. It's just a natural flow, or you should try to develop it to become that flow. But if you can't have a conversation on date 2 or 3, then red light.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes. 100%. And that's not shallow.
Oh, it's not shallow. That's the
It's not
deepest.
shallow.
That's the deepest thing.
Yeah. But I could totally see someone, you've met someone and, they have all of some, good qualities, and you're talking to your friends and they're like, we just don't talk about anything. And I could see a person like, girl, that's the one thing that you complaining about, because you can find something to talk about. It's not that easy.
No,
it's not that easy.
It's not that easy. And sometimes, someone may have to be stimulated in the sense of that may not be their natural bent. It doesn't mean that they don't have thoughts and, deep things to say. They just may not be as verbal. And so maybe in their previous relationships or in their home or whatever, they were not encouraged to share and talk. And so that might have to be nurtured a little bit, but don't marry them until that starts to, nurture means spend a few more dates. It doesn't mean marry them and then hope that it changes.
That it resolves itself. Yeah.
Stuff typically doesn't change for the better that you didn't like when someone was dating, when you were dating someone. So
yeah.
Okay, they're protective. I'm gonna let you start with the green light.
I think that oftentimes when we think about our spouse, but from the woman's perspective, we think about our husband being protective. We think about that person who is concerned about our safety, that person who is going to make sure that our cars are well cared for, who's going to make sure that our home is secure. And yes, those things are a part of being protective, but your husband should also protect you psychologically. They should be all about your peace. They should be all about helping you navigate through situations that are that could threaten your peace and your mental well-being. They should be about protecting you in that space as well, protecting you spiritually, protecting you emotionally. They should be about sometimes protecting you from yourself. If your husband identifies that there's an area in which if you don't have some accountability, that you could do damage to yourself, they should be protecting you in that space as well. Moment of transparency, when my mental health is not at its best, I shop a lot. And it's just like it's an impulse when I feel out of control in other areas. And my husband has to say one thing: Amazon's been here a lot, babe. That's all he has to say. And I know, one, I need to talk to my therapist. And two, I need to be accountable to him about what I'm doing. But he knows that is an indication that my wife is not okay. And so it's not any and it used to be a point of contention between us before we really grew in that area and we were transparent with each other about what that meant. And he committed to helping me in that area, and so he committed to protecting my mental health, my emotional health, by just, Amazon's been here a lot, babe. And that's it.
The boxes are stacked up outside the door. We might
stacked up outside the door.
Well, and that's beautiful. But protective can also look like controlling. It can look like jealous. It can look like abusive. It can steal your peace. And it can be overbearing. When the fact of the matter is that you are a whole entire adult.
Yes.
Before you started dating and you were taking care of yourself and you were going and doing the things you needed to do. Of course, God takes care of us as well. But to have someone who's like always has to know where you are or always has to be with you, someone who is kind of jealous of other people's interactions with you, and they say they're trying to protect you from someone, but they're really trying to protect themselves from their own insecurity. Maybe they are certainly abusive. That should be one of the obvious ones, but they are abusive in their protection of you. They are, and they steal your peace. You talked about someone who helps you to have peace, or protects your peace. But if they steal your peace, if they're constantly texting you when you go out with your friends or your family, or you're not with them, or they come to your work when now that's when protective takes the wrong turn and is now a stoplight.
Yeah.
And so we want, as women, we do like men who are protective in the sense of how Ebony said, but it does become overbearing when someone is constantly like, oh, you don't do that because you don't do that. But this is the stuff that you've been doing for your whole entire adult life. And you have to be responsible. Of course, we all have to be responsible and take care of ourselves as far as a physical safety and in other areas. But we cannot lose our individuality, and we cannot surrender our power to someone who is, and you often have to someone who is protective in the red light sense.
Yeah. And
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go, please.
I'm processing that in light of the conversation that we had last month. I think it was about submission. When you have someone who is protective in the green light, that also lends itself to submission being much more natural and desired from the woman. But when you have responsibility and expectation from God to be submissive, and your husband has some of the red light protective traits, that makes it difficult.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason why you want to be, diligent in figuring out where they fall on that protective spectrum before you get married.
And I think what I'll add is that you can see when you're observing someone, you need to observe all these traits that we're talking about. You also need to observe how they interact with other people, because people can put on fronts when they just trying to impress you. But how do they interact with other people? And I didn't tell you this. I meant to tell you this, but I'm going to just tell a story about your husband because I know Ebony's husband, and for pretty much as long as I've known her. And I used to work for them. And one day we were coming into the office, and the neighbor across the street had this crazy, vicious dog that had gotten loose. And I'm already terrified of dogs. So that was already a huge problem. But this dog was coming, and his natural instinct was to push me inside the door. And he was going to go for that dog. He was going to take that dog out.
Yes.
And so when you think about someone's natural instinct, how they respond in situations, not to impress anyone, that's just like, then you think about that's how they interact with the world, not just you. So
yes. Yeah, totally. My husband is very much so like my father was. When I was growing up, my father never let me go in the house ahead of him. Whenever we came home, he always went in the house first. And I used to think, that left me kind of exposed to the back, but I used to think about the fact that he would literally, open the door, make sure it was safe, and then he was immediately looking back or reaching back for me, and my husband is very much so the same way, and that was one of the things that still endears me to him. Yeah.
All
But
right.
no.
Well, our time is flying here as usual. So our last one is generous.
Mm,
And now I'm gonna start because I want
yes.
to end on a good note.
Yes.
So the red light is that they have toxic generosity. I don't know if you ever
Mm,
heard that, but they want to be the hero. So they're always trying to rescue someone and they're just like, oh,
mhm, mhm,
instead of helping someone learn how to fish, they want to just be the one giving them fish so that they
mhm,
can be like the great person, the hero to everybody.
mhm,
They give generously, but they don't regard their own responsibilities. So your
mm.
wife looking like, what, huh? Because because the red kind of need, the mortgage, the gas, whatever. But you
Mhm,
just like, no, but they need it. I'm just like, okay, yo, but you need it. And the Bible
mhm,
says you have to take care of your own household first, or you
mhm,
are like an infidel.
mhm,
Um, they give because they want people to like them, not because they are just naturally generous or want to help. They just want people to like them, and they think that's how you get people to like you, by giving
mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
They give until there's nothing left of them, like their time. They give to all of these things. They're involved in all of this and that and that. But what matters, first of all, self-care is just off the table. But then
Mhm,
also their family, it loses out on that presence
mhm, mhm.
because they're everywhere else given to everybody else.
Yeah.
And but what they don't do is they don't give sacrificially.
Mhm,
They give what they want to give, not what you ask for.
mhm, mhm,
So when we talk about like love languages and all this kind of stuff, you might say, well, I'd like for us to have a date night and want you to spend, whatever time with us. And they're just like, they don't give that. They give, oh, they buy you a gift and they're like, oh, here. And they think you should be excited about their
mhm,
generosity,
mhm,
but they've totally, rejected what you actually asked for. So
mhm,
that's
mhm,
some of the red lights. Stop,
mhm,
spread.
mhm. So the green lights are really the exact opposite of those things. So the person who is generous is giving financially and sacrificial with their resources, and they love spoiling you, and everything is done appropriately though. So that's the difference. So yes, they're going to be generous to other people and they're going to be generous to you, but they're not going to put you all's livelihood at risk,
Mm-hmm.
right? That person is going to be sacrificial in that, my husband and I were just having this conversation, and he's like, he has all of these things on his plate. He's self-employed, he's an entrepreneur, and he's like, but I have to take care of the things that are important, and one of those things is us. And so he has to sacrifice working and doing certain things that could make us money, just to be honest, in
Mm-hmm.
order to nurture our relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
so that type of sacrificial love is important, and that's how a generous person shows up. But it's all done appropriately. There is there's no hoarding of anything, but there's not any overextending either.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna hit our takeaways as our time slip away again. All that glitters ain't gold. People, please, just because it looks shiny on the outside, you take time to really investigate. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
Mhm.
Don't ignore red lights. I mean, once you see them, when you're driving, you don't see a red light and then be like, well, I'm gonna just go slow. You either gonna be an accident or the cops gonna be like, did you not,
Mhm.
like, what? So
Mhm.
red
Mhm.
light means stop.
Yes.
Get out, get off the exit, get out the car, throw the keys away, whatever. Get out, stop. Don't overthink on green lights.
Yeah.
Sometimes and you may need someone to help you to, make sure that your evaluation is true.
Mhm.
But When it's green, go. Sometimes we get afraid because we've been in situations where we had the same type of, like, maybe they were protective, but it was controlling and abusive. And so
Right.
now, but when you see and you have evidence that it's different, then don't let it stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Have and listen to wise accountability partners. And this is so important,
Mm-hmm.
that you have someone or people that you trust that can help you make those evaluations.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah 30:21 says, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it, whenever you turn to the right hand or whenever you turn to the left. Ultimately, the Holy Spirit is our number one accountability partner. We need to connect with him when we're making decisions about our anything, really, but we're talking about relationships here. You have to connect with the Holy Spirit, and you have to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
You have to listen.
Yeah.
I was talking to a group on Sunday about these are women who have been divorced, and I said that whenever I have one-on-one conversations with someone who either had a difficult relationship that they got out of or married, I say, did you see this trait before?
Right.
And every single one of them has said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. The Holy Spirit will not let you make a wrong decision if you are willing to listen. Now, he restores and he forgives and all of that. So that's not what we're talking about. But if you're not there yet, listen, trust, and obey.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our program for tonight. But don't leave yet, because we have an exciting announcement. And that announcement is, it's official. Registration for the Preparing for the Partner You Desire Women's Retreat will open on Thursday, March 23rd at 8 a.m.
Awesome.
This Thursday, we have secured the place, y'all. I'm so excited. Camp Kalakwa, if you've ever been there, if you haven't, it's beautiful. And even if you have, they've done even more to it. But registration will open. So what I need you to do, I need you to email me. I'm going to put the link on social media and I'm going to put it in the description here. But if you want to get up to the front of the line, email me at support@asinglemission.com. And when the link comes out, I will send all of you the link. Here's the deal. It's 2 nights. It's May 12th through 14th. It is 5 meals, 6 seminars, your registration fee, and the price for those who sign up before April 15th is $297. Now, come on. You can't even pay for a hotel that's halfway nice.
Right.
For $297, besides getting all of that.
Right.
$297. But here's the thing. If you sign up by March 31st, you will also get a free 1-hour coaching session with me about any relationship questions or whatever you want, actually. 1-hour coaching session. And I'm actually going to try to fit it in there so we can do it in person, not on Zoom. But if that doesn't work out, because there's a lot going on, then we will set up a Zoom. But you will get a free 1-hour coaching session with me. But you have to sign up by March 31st. If you sign up on April 1st, then fool on you. Fool's Day, because you will not get it. But here's the thing. And also for those people who like to wait to the last minute, if you sign up after April 15th, the price goes up to $347, because we need to lock in. We only have 35 slots. 35 slots. So you want to sign up, you want to send me an email, you want to get in, because it's gonna be fantastic, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, we already have our first sponsor. We're gonna give you some swag. It's gonna be nice. And we're gonna relax, we're gonna have fun. I don't want you to wear like church clothes. I want you to come just to like relax
Yes.
Gonna
A
breathe.
retreat. A true retreat.
It's a retreat. So support at asinglemission.com. Email me, get in quickly so you can get that coaching session. And we got some other swag that will be coming as well. And I am looking forward to, I will put the link, in this description as well. But remember, by March 31st, you get the free coaching session. By April 15th, you get the price of $297. But after that, the price goes up to $347. And once it's closed, there's no guarantee that they'll be able to give us any more room. So 35 is our limit. So sign up now. We thank you very much for all. If you have any suggestions about next week's program, please put it in the comments. And thank you, Ebony, for being with us again. This is actually our last Mary Wizerr episode until for this season, but Ebony will be back one more time. But this is the last Mary Wizerr episode. And so say goodbye to Ebony for now. Thank you all for coming. Until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser. God bless.
Bye, y'all.